The warrior. I turned to this guy and said, so what's your contribution? He said, my contribution is to die before anyone else in the community. Ha! He said, why is that? He said, my warriors are here to defend the cattle, to defend the culture, to defend the people. If someone dies before me, I have failed. That's why they train every day, to become the best warriors they can. This guy, the elders. Now, if you go to a Maasai village, you'll find the elders sitting under a tree playing games all day, much like most boards of directors I've encountered. The only difference is they play different games, because most boards of directors play political games. These guys play this game called Mankala. It's a game of strategy. You have to think 4 moves ahead to be successful at it. And they play it because they've worked out it works their strategic muscles in their brain. And if you listen to the conversations they're having, they're all strategy conversations. They'll be saying things like, well, what if the drought goes on for another 6 months? What if we get cattle disease next year? What if we do this? And their conversation is purely strategic. And when you ask them why, they say, why should we worry about the issues of today? There's thousands of people looking after today. We're all responsible. Our job is the future. God, wouldn't it be lovely if boards of directors understood that? Their job is the future health, not today. That's why I recruit other people to do today. And finally, Cole. Cole was chief warrior, fantastic bloke. Now, there were various reasons why I thought if you became chief warrior, you'd hang on to it for a while, but I won't go into those. And so I said to Cole, how long are you going to be chief warrior for? He said, for a shorter period of time as it takes me to find a better chief warrior than me. I said, why is that? He said, because my contribution is that this community should have the best chief warrior possible. So built into that job description is succession planning. And not just someone to replace him, someone better than him. And when he's measured and assessed, and we were talking about measurement and assessment earlier, in about 30 years, when they're talking about the various chief warriors we've had, they'll talk about Cole. Now, how was he? And they'll measure him as much on the person who replaced him. They'll go, Cole, he was the guy that left us with. Oh, yes. Or they'll go, hey, now Cole was a great chief warrior while he was there, but look at the mess he left. Right? So he won't be seen as a great chief warrior. Can you imagine if we did that to our CEOs? Yes, you can have an incredible share option scheme, but we'll see what it's worth 10 years after you leave. Wouldn't that focus life differently? Then we'll get rid of this sort of 3-year, I'm the new CEO, I've got to do something totally different. It will give you sustainable organisations. Now, I asked Cole, how do you find this replacement? For those of you losing the will to live, there's only a few more minutes to go. Right? He said, I look for 5 qualities in a leader, and these are they. 1, a leader is someone who has vision. They are someone who can see beyond the matters of today. They are someone who can communicate, but these were the words that really mattered to me. They are someone who can communicate in order that others can take action. How many of you have had corporate communication come to you and you look at it and you go, right, and? I mean, that's the stuff you do actually understand, right? I mean, I know the answer. They're someone who is generous of time and spirit. Well, they'd have to be, because how do you develop other people unless you're going to be like that? They are people who know that if they respect others for long enough, over time they may become respected themselves. And finally, and I love this one, they're punctual. I said, Cole, get away. This isn't a time-stressed environment. He went, no, but we still make commitments as to when we're going to have meetings, at times we're going to do things. And we use this because it role models these other things. He said, imagine you're late for a meeting. It's probably because you were stuck in the issues of today. And you were doing things other people should be doing, but they weren't doing it because they didn't know how to do it. And how generous of time and spirit are you being with the other people at the meeting, and how much respect are you showing them on your topic? Which I thought was phenomenal. Now,
how do you become a leader?
I think leadership is like wine. It must mature. You cannot take leadership. You must be given leadership. And leadership is given because of what people have seen is the potential to follow this individual. We will reach a certain point. But you cannot take leadership and expect people to say, yes, let's embrace him because he has forced himself upon us. But leadership is, first you must have dignity. You must have that thing of value that attracts others to you to say, we would like this individual to represent us in whatever avenue of life you belong to, whether in the church, whether in the schools, whether in politics, whether in just the community level. If you have a personality that has dignity, then You can lead yourself to become a leader. You don't need to grab it, you don't need to shout about it, but practically people will recognize and say, I wish to have this person guide me to such and such a point, because I know he will lead us to achieve a certain objective. But many a time today people think leadership is to have wealth. Many have found wealth through dubious means. That doesn't make you a good leader just because you have abundant wealth. Because people don't seem to look back and say, how did he gain this wealth? If you gain wealth through hard work, I think it would make sense to lead others to say you need to work hard to achieve this. But you cannot steal and rob banks and accumulate wealth and say you need to work hard to achieve wealth. That's a contradiction completely. So leadership must mature. You must listen to others. Give opportunity to listen to others, because life is an ever-ending education forum. You are educated on a day-to-day basis. Just like the weather has changed over time, even you will change over time.
I frankly believe that business is simple. It's just made incredibly complicated by fear and ego. If you can strip fear and ego out, you realise just how simple your business is.